So, what's up, guys? This is take 3. The past couple times that I've tried to do this, my girlfriend, text messages popped up in the top right, and I figured you all weren't clicking on to see our conversation. So, let's try to get this again. Got her on Do Not Disturb for now. So, hopefully, we don't have any more issues. But yeah, guys, definitely miss y'all. Getting to see you all the last time, kind of bummed. I wouldn't have been able to anyways. I'm actually in quarantine until the 30th. So this is I was quarantined a week ago for a week, and now I've got another 2-week quarantine, which is an absolute blast. But I've had a good semester, not really been affected by COVID as much, so I can't really complain. But all that being said, hopefully I get to see you guys in person more next semester with our student-teacher meetings and whatever goes on. And hopefully you all have a great break. But yeah, so let's hop in. So for my unit plan, I had 3 classes to choose from to do it in. My coordinated teacher teaches college algebra, or college prep algebra currently, then it'll be dual credit, and then geometry and AP computer science. And he gave me the choice to do whichever one I wanted. And I ended up doing obviously college prep algebra. I thought about doing AP computer science just to be a little different and add some just do something really challenging for me, because I had no idea what even AP computer science classes look like, but I didn't really think that fit the class and what we were doing here. And then also in geometry, I just a lot of it was stuff I'd done all my life, so I figured I'd just shake it up a little bit and do some college prep algebra, which we're doing factor and polynomials, so it's not too exciting, which brings me to my unit topic, which is factoring polynomials. So my CT and I kind of broke down. He showed me some of his notes from before. So we had 4 lessons, and each lesson, the first lesson was add, subtract, multiply monomials and polynomials using full and other methods. And then the second one was factoring out the greatest common factor of different expressions, then using that greatest common factor to factor by grouping. Third lesson, third day, was factoring differences of perfect squares. And then the fourth day was factoring trinomials with the box method, which is really odd to me. It doesn't, I don't really seem to find it that effective. And factoring sum and differences of cubes. So this is kind of the skeletons of what he had done before. I'd used a little bit of his notes for more examples, but his notes were very bare bones. They were actually handwritten notes that were scanned into a Google Drive, so it's not like I had much to work with, which was good. It let me kind of tackle this on my own. It let me see more what the planning process looks like. I got to do most of it from scratch, which was really good. And yeah, so, and in this we actually chose to do a very traditional slide decks, homeworks, tests, quizzes kind of format. And I know, given what we've learned in class, that might seem a little controversial / dumb decision, but my CT had tried many different ways in that class to get the students involved, because I'd planned my lesson to do virtual. I'd planned to do it this semester. So given the circumstances, this was the only method that the students were really responding to, because often my CT would just get on, teach for 15-20 minutes, and then run through the homework with them. Actually, he'd get on Jamboard and work through the assignment with them, and answer questions as they had them, as they come up through the homework, and kind of give them a guided work through of the worksheet, rather than spending most of the time lecturing, which was a very different model, but it was the only thing that students were responding to, because at first we were having 60% attendance in those classes, maybe even 50. It was really low, and students started to come more when we switched to these methods. So even though it's boring, even though it's not the most interactive thing, you really just have to grit your teeth and do what you can in this COVID time. Is the biggest thing I've realized, is just whatever you can get the students to do, just do it. And yeah, so with that, so here's an example of working through in-class slides. The next slide I kind of pulled for one of my in-class slide decks. You'll see some math type here, and the quantity x plus y times 2x plus 3y. I use something called Hypatia to type all of this out. And I actually, for my first 2 days of the slide decks, because I had four days, so 4 slide decks total for day 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'd actually typed out every single work through of the problems on Hypatia at first for the first 2 days. It took me about 2 hours to do a slide deck, and I quickly realized not the greatest thing, but it does look very nice, as you can see. Like, it looks very formal, looks very professional, but the time constraint was really crazy because between answering parents' emails and phone calls and paperwork and stuff in the real world, that's just not realistic. But I'll talk about that more when I get to my takeaways. And yeah, I just kind of had these slides that I would go through in class in a 30-minute period using Pear Deck. We would go through these slides. I'd lead them through the discussion. I'd have some practice problems at the end. Obviously, there was examples within the slides that I worked through myself, but I would give them practice problems at the end. And using Pear Deck, I could see what it was that they were doing, like real time. So I could see their work. I could see how they're trying to work it out, and any mistakes in signs and distribution, whatever their problems were, I could see them real time, which is really cool because I could give them immediate feedback. And when I pulled them back into a group, I could show the screens anonymously without showing like the names of the students, and that allowed me to show the class like how they worked through it, like what they could do to work it better, and just other teaching strategies that I could bring in by showing student work without having to sacrifice the anonymous state of the students. I don't know what that word would be. Sorry. But with that, like I said, there was a couple takeaways that I had from this process. In the most useful technologies by far are Pear Deck. I will harp on Pear Deck till the day that I die. Even if there may be sometimes when I go back in person that I still use this. Being able to just control what slide the students are on too, so that they have to keep along, and is so helpful. And just seeing, like, allowing them to work in browser instead of having to go place to place. Like, I can see all of their work all at once on one screen without having to get up. And then Jamboard too. That's something you can just copy a Google Doc into just another Google Doc and then write on it using your keyboard and your mouse. And then Hypatia is what I use to do the math type in the previous slide. And yeah, another takeaway would be if you're teaching virtually, use whatever method necessary that the class responds to. Like I said, the boring slides, the homework would not be my first choice. That's what we've been harped on, project-based learning. Modeling, all that good stuff, but it's just not working in this environment. So going into the spring semester, just keep that in mind. You may have a different class that responds differently to different interactive, exploratory class assignments and introductory assignments, but that's just not been the case for me. And I wish it was, but it's just not been. And just make use of the breakout rooms and Zoom for help. What me and my CT would often do would we'd break out into. We have 30 minutes of synchronous time to teach, and we'll go through the slides, and then in the next hour after that, we had asynchronous time. So in that time, we would utilize breakout rooms for tutoring help. Like the students could ask one-on-one questions or one-on-two questions with me, para-teachers, student helpers, just different ways. So breakout rooms are very vital, and the students actually respond to it pretty well. A lot of them are so bored that they just want to talk to people. So some of the students will get in there for help and just talk to me instead of having help, which I don't care for either. Like, student interaction and that relationship building is very vital anyways. And like I said, if you use Hypatia, just be careful. Like, it takes so much time, and if you use it at all, just what I ended up doing for the last 2 days was just writing the original problem using Hypatia so it would look nice going into the class, but then work all the rest of it out by hand on Pear Deck. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Dr. Amick, for a great semester, and hopefully I will see you guys soon. Peace.